Every election cycle, political parties lay out their vision for the country in a document called a platform. So today we're going to dig into the official 2024 Republican Party platform. We're going to get past the headlines and the sound bites to break down its core argument, from how it sees America's problems to its specific promises on the economy, the border, and culture.
Right from page one, the platform dedicates itself to the forgotten men and women of America. Now, this isn't just some throwaway dedication. It's really a mission statement. It immediately tells you who this document is for and frames everything that follows as a direct response to a group that, in their view, feels left behind.
You'll see the platform is built like a story, or maybe an argument. First, it diagnoses the problem, painting a picture of a nation in crisis. Then, it offers up a guiding philosophy, this idea of common sense. And finally, it lays out three big pillars of policy solutions for the economy, for national security, and for American culture.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning with that diagnosis. Because really, before you can understand the solutions being offered, you have to get a handle on the problem they believe they're trying to solve. The entire argument here rests on a very specific view of where America is right now.
This quote from the introduction really gets right to the heart of it. It's not subtle at all. It's a huge warning shot. The phrase, serious decline, yep, in all caps in the document, is meant to be an alarm bell. It frames this moment as nothing less than an existential threat to the country.
So what does this decline actually look like? Well, according to the platform, it boils down to these key issues. You've got raging inflation hitting families, open borders, rampant crime, and what it calls attacks on children through the education system. Add to that global chaos and a rejection of American history and values, and that right there is the list of problems the platform sets out to fix. All right, so how do they propose to fix all this? Well, they introduce this one single guiding philosophy that they apply to pretty much every policy idea. This theme, a return to common sense, is presented as the foundation for the entire agenda.
And this is really important. They don't just throw the term common sense out there and let you guess what it means. Nope. They give it a very specific definition. For them, it's the belief that a nation absolutely must have secure borders, a strong manufacturing base at home, a powerful military, and laws that are applied equally to everyone. This definition becomes the lens for everything that follows.
And that brings us to the solutions, starting with Pillar 1, the economy. The platform really presents this as the most critical battleground, directly addressing those financial pressures that the forgotten men and women from the introduction are feeling.
When it comes to the economy, the platform has a number one, top of the list, absolute priority: ending inflation. It's not just talked about as some dry statistic. It's framed as a crushing tax on American families and the single most urgent crisis that needs to be solved.
So how are they going to do it? The document lays out this 5-point plan. The idea is to unleash American energy to bring down gas prices, rein in what it calls wasteful government spending, and slash regulations to lower cost for businesses. Then it connects stopping illegal immigration to easing pressure on public services and argues that a peace through strength foreign policy will create global stability. Each of these is presented as a lever you can pull to bring down prices for everybody.
And to really hammer home that first point on energy, they pull out this super memorable phrase, drill baby drill. This isn't just a dry policy point, right? It's a rallying cry. It signals a very aggressive push for total energy independence as the cornerstone of their economic plan.
But it's not just about inflation. The platform also digs into tax policy. It makes a big promise to make the Trump-era tax cuts permanent, but then it adds something new and very targeted: a proposal to completely eliminate all federal taxes on tips. This is a really clear and direct appeal to anyone working in restaurants, hospitality, the service industry.
Okay, so from keeping your wallet secure, the platform pivots to keeping the nation secure. This second pillar builds on that common sense idea that a nation has to be safe. It covers the whole gamut, from the southern border to crime on the streets and America's military power around the world.
When it comes to immigration, the platform's central promise is just massive in scale. It doesn't mince words. It explicitly calls for carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history as the way to, in its view, restore order at the border.
So their security strategy really breaks down into three main fronts. For border security, it's all about completing the wall and deploying troops.
When it comes to law enforcement at home, the plan is to end sanctuary cities and stand up to prosecutors it calls Marxists. And for the military, the goal is to rebuild American strength with things like a new missile shield and a modernized force, all under that banner of peace through strength.
And that brings us to the third and final pillar, renewing American culture. This is where the platform shifts its focus from threats from the outside to what it sees as threats from the inside, focusing heavily on education, family, and what it considers core societal values.
In the education section, the platform basically lays out a clear what's out and what's in list. It calls for removing curricula that touch on critical race theory and what it labels radical gender ideology. And what should be taught instead? Well, a focus on fundamental skills, what it calls authentic civics, and promoting a love of country.
And building on that education piece, you see a bunch of other big cultural commitments, things like restoring parental rights, bringing in universal school choice, and even closing the Federal Department of Education to shift power back to the states. Then there are very specific stances on banning taxpayer funding for sex change surgeries, keeping men out of women's sports, and protecting religious liberty.
The platform wraps everything up by tying all its big themes together: love for the country, faith in the people, and trust in God. And it all culminates in that famous slogan that also happens to be the official title of the document: Make America Great Again. So there you have it, the platform's diagnosis of a nation in decline, its guiding philosophy of common sense, and its 3 pillars of solutions. We've gone through a lot here, from economics and immigration all the way to some really intense cultural debates. So I'll leave you with this question. If this entire plan were put into action, what single promise, just one, do you think would have the biggest impact on the country?